We will now look at adding and multiplying in different bases. So let's suppose we want to add two numbers in base b. We're going to start by adding our rightmost digits, and when we do this, we're going to divide that answer by the base. The remainder is the rightmost digit of the sum, and your quotient is what you need to actually carry over. So for example, 1110 plus 1111 base 2. So I start by lining these up, and we start with our rightmost digit. 0 plus 1 is 1. So 1 divided by 2 is 0 with a remainder of 1. My next column, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1 with a remainder of 0. So I write down the remainder, and I carry the quotient. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Divided by 2 has a quotient of 1 and a remainder of 1. And the same thing here, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, which has a quotient of 1 and a remainder of 1. And then I can bring that last one down. If I want to add 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 2, 1 base 4, 3 plus 1 is 4, divided by 4 is 1 with a remainder of 0. So I write down the remainder, and I carry the quotient. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, divided by 4 is 1 with a remainder of 1. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5, which is 1 with a remainder of 1, and then I can bring down the last 1. One more example. 8 plus 3 is 11, divided by 9 is 1, with a remainder of 2. So I write down the 2, and I carry the 1. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11, divided by 9 is 1, with a remainder of 2. 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 1 is 14. 14 divided by 9 is 1, with a remainder of 5. And then my very last addition, 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. So I have 4, 5, 2, 2. I can also multiply. So we multiply the same way you learn to multiply when you very first learn how to do two-digit multiplication. I'm going to start with the 0 and multiply everything by 0. That's just 0, 0, 0. Next I look at this 1 and multiply everything in the first number by 1. I get 101. The same thing for the 1 in the hundreds place, or actually in this case, in the fours place. 101. And then I can add things. I get 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. So base 2 multiplication is probably the easiest, since all we have to really do is multiply a bunch of 1s and 0s. So let's look at something a little more complicated. 53 times 24 base 6. So we start with the 4. 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 divided by 6 is 2 with a remainder of 0. So I write down the 0 and I carry the 2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. 22 divided by 6 is 3, with a remainder of 4. Since there's nothing below this 3, I can bring it down. Next, I'm going to multiply everything by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, with a remainder of 0. So I write down the 0 and carry the quotient. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 6 divided by 11 is 1, with a remainder of 5. And finally, since there's nothing below this 1, I can bring it down. And now I can add. 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. 3 plus 5 is 8. When I divide 8 by 6, I get a quotient of 1 and a remainder of 2. So I write down the 2 and carry the 1 to give me the final 2. I can also find b to the n mod m for some really large value of n using binary. I'm going to do this by converting my integer to base 2. I'm then going to start with the rightmost digit of this base 2 integer. If it's a 0, I'm going to square the value of b. If it's a 1, I'm going to square b, and I'm going to multiply b by 1, so I'm going to have two steps. I then move to the second rightmost digit. If it's 0, I'm going to square the number before. If it's a 1, I'll square the number I got in the last step, and I'll multiply what I got in the last step by what I got the last time I had a 1. And then I'll repeat this. So for example, 3 to the 644 mod 73. So this is 644 base 2, and we're going to start with this rightmost digit of a 0. If I have a digit of 0, I just square my number. 3 squared is 9. My second digit is also a 0, so this time I do 9 squared, which is 81 mod 73, which simplifies to 8. My third digit is a 1. This means I'm going to have 2 steps. I take what I got in the last step, and I multiply by 1 to get 8 again. And I also square what I got in the last step, so I'm going to square that 8 to get 64. The fourth digit is a 0, so I'm going to square 64, and that gives me 8 mod 73. I come to a 0 again, so I square 8 to get 64. Another 0 gives me 64 squared, which is 8. 8 squared, which is 64, and then I come to this 1. So when I come to a 1, I take what I got the last time I got a 1 times my previous step, so 8 times 64, which simplifies to 1 mod 73. And then I'm also going to square my last step. So let's do 64 squared to get 8. I then have another 0, so I do 8 squared to get 64. And then I come to the very, very last digit, which is a 1, and will always be a 1. So in this case, I take what I got the last time I got a 1 times my previous step, 1 times 64, to get my final answer of 64.